Hi, it's Rebecca Jackson, Empathic Crow. I'm getting ready for bed. I spent the time since I got home working on my website, changing everything to update to the fact that it's now an LLC, and making sure I've got my liability insurance and everything, cyber insurance, all that fun stuff in place. Cybersecurity, privacy policies, that everything's set up in a way that feels clear, functional, and easy to use. Also, some giveaways that I'm excited about, just a few of those. And then a discount as the site launches. So crossing fingers, I would love to be able to do that this weekend, but I want it to look really good and be, like I said, just set up in a way that flows. Oh, there it is. So please excuse me putting on face cream and stuff while I'm sitting here talking, but it is pretty much bedtime, and so I want to make sure that I get that done. But at the same time, there's just a message I started writing earlier today, because this song that I absolutely have always loved, oh yeah, I'm wearing it on my nightgown to hold it together, by Prince, came into my head, and it's always kind of given me chills, this song has, because it feels very powerful. And so, you know, I could wait and do this video tomorrow, but at the same time, I feel like it needs to be said tonight. And I was like, well, it's getting kind of late. And intuitively, I was like, no, Rebecca, you need to go ahead and just do this. Well, I will use a chip clip. Why not? My hair may be a little too thick for it, but we'll just see. That'll work for the purpose of putting on lotion. Okay, so the song is, so there were two things that came to mind, and I'm going to start with the song because, as I said, when did this song come out? 1992. So when the song came out, I was still in middle school, and I had always loved Prince. I loved his songs. You know, I'd grown up listening to all kinds of 60s, 70s, 80s songs. We even listened to some 50s. And then, of course, in the 90s, I listened to the 90s music and stuff. So I've always had a really eclectic taste. Oh, hiccups. When I heard this song, I mean, the video, for some people, it may seem very confusing or cryptic or whatever. I didn't mind the video so much. It's the music. It's the just power of the music. And if you listen to the words, really the power of the words. Even so, like the first verse after the chorus. And I probably am going to sing the chorus because it's been stuck in my head. And I saw an angel come down unto me. In her hands she holds the very key. Words of compassion, words of peace, and in a distance an army's marching feet. But behold, we will watch them fall. So we're going to stop right there. He's talking about an angel coming down, and she's holding the key to peace, which is words of compassion, peace, being able to talk about that love he brings up later in the song. But there's an army marching in the distance. But don't worry, we'll watch them fall, because at the end of the day, people can try to assert this power and control and dominance, but think about it. It never lasts. because love wins. Love always wins. Because you can only keep up your false sense of power for so long. And I'm not, like, I'm clothed. I just get cold, so I have to have the blanket around me. And then it says, and we lay down on the sand of the sea, and before us animosity will stand and decree that we speak not of love, only blasphemy. So of course that's happening right now when people are trying to stand up for their rights and for other people's rights. It happens too, even among people that we may care about, and maybe we think they care about us as well. But if they get triggered, they may react from a place where they seem to put others in this position where maybe they're trying to get other people to believe that they are not this good person. Ooh, I'm getting a ringing in my ear. That they're not this good person, or that they don't deserve love. They don't deserve to be treated in a certain way. Like, people create these situations all the time, even with young people that I work with. They're having to deal with all these nasty things that people say that comes from a place of insecurity, or things that they do where they try to one-up or call people out because they're insecure about themselves. We'll get into that a bit more in a minute. So let's see. Yeah, that we speak not of love, only blasphemy. And that's going on right now. We speak of love. I've even got, I tried to move my computer, not the phone. I've got my pride banner in the background with a sign that says, love is all that matters. All for love and love for all. Underneath that, I've got my spiritual warriors sign that represents myself and several other of a very close soul and spiritual tribe that I am part of. A very close-knit circle of family and strong, very intuitive, wonderful people. And we are represented by the crow, the lion, the wolf, and the dragon. And it's very beautiful. And then also on the paranormal team that we have, Whispers in the Dark Paranormal, we have, including myself, 4 highly intuitive, highly empathic, and gifted mediums. And we all have different ways that we connect. We all have, sometimes when we tap into a location, we may pick up on different energies, the same energies. And when we bring things together, there's so many similarities. And then sometimes there's little pieces and aspects of the story. Because what people don't always understand is that sometimes a spirit may connect with you more, or you may connect with them more and you get more of their story. But sometimes people feel like that you should be able to help them to make those connections. And you can help to encourage people and teach them techniques that can help them to elevate their connection. But you cannot create or facilitate that for them. And so there becomes this divide. And so with that, it's very hard to navigate that at times. I've noticed a lot in the paranormal and metaphysical world. You have some people who their light is so bright and they will connect with other like-minded people because you get it. And the energy when you come together is beautiful. Like the Parafest this weekend. connecting with the other two mediums, Ren and Kerr, was so amazing, and they are beautiful. And we don't sit here and say, oh, I'm not going to talk about this other person because what if that takes away from me? Or what if people are more interested in that person? It's kind of like even when I have worked in my current day job. And I don't worry about whether people connect with another clinician more than they do me. Because guess what? While we all may have very similar skills, abilities, and trainings, we all have different personalities, and we all connect differently with other people. And I'm not the right person for everyone. You're not the right person for everyone. And if you don't feel that someone is the right person for you, it's okay to seek somebody else. It's okay for there to be more than one of us. It's okay for there to be competition, if that's what you want to call it. I call it a community, but if you want to call it competition, you call it competition. And so it says, and in the distance, 6 others will curse me. But that's all right. That's all right. But I will watch them fall. Understand that when you walk away from things, you can go quietly. You don't have to necessarily even say anything. And if you do say things, you don't 1133. You don't have to say them loudly. You don't have to say them rudely. You can say them assertively. I no longer choose to be a part of this. I am not buying into the things that you are putting on me. I understand that you're upset. I understand that you're confused. I understand that you're feeling vulnerable right now. I understand that you have a lot of things that have gone on in your life. However, I have not done anything that has intentionally tried to put a harm on you. So if you are intentionally coming after me or others around me because of some perception of hurt or a slight, that's on you. You choose that. And unfortunately, what people don't understand is that when they do that, it actually looks worse on them, because people who just decide to believe them blindly, well, that's fine. You can align with people and decide to blindly believe them and shut people out of your life. That's sad for you because you lose connections. And if they'll do that to one person, they'll do that to other people. Their trust is very low. Their fear is really high. And their worry about vulnerability prevents them from making truly meaningful connections. But really, if there are people who believe things about you and they haven't come and talked to you, or they don't have the evidence for it, that's on them, because that doesn't look very good for them either. So people will weed themselves out of your life. And it may not even be that they're a bad person. It's just that they're unhealed, that they get triggered and they react in a way that is not helpful at all. And so this is where the chorus comes in. Now, first, before I do that, let me say, 7, we know that Prince, well, I feel like most of us should know, the Prince was a highly intelligent, intuitive, connected person. And when we look at 7, there's such a huge significance in 7. I can't find the Seed of Life sacred geometry that I had shown earlier in the week in another reading. But this is a little bit more, the ring light. It's similar, it's not the same. But the Seed of Life circles that are part of the sacred geometry, there are 7 circles in that. When we look at numerology, and I wrote a long bit, some stuff I had looked into, some stuff just coming to me intuitively. In numerology, 7 represents introspection, inner wisdom, intuition, and a search for truth. Now, this is important because when we're talking about you're standing on 2 different sides, and one side is love and one side is like marching and war and creating a lot of chaos and having a lot of strong emotions, you know, saying that somebody's blasphemous for speaking about love. If we're looking at that 7 and 7 has been numbers that I'm seeing everywhere, which is part of why that song 7 by Prince and the Next Generation, I think that's what it is, Prince and the New Power Generation, excuse me. I was young when Prince started, or he may have started before I was old enough, but either way, when that song came out, I was still pretty young. But anyway, so when we look at 7, there's so many different meanings to it. 7, there are more than 7 archangels, but there are 7 archangels that are typically focused on. I've got the seal of the 7 archangels that I wear quite frequently, which represents Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Jophiel, and Zadkiel, as 7 of the major archangels. Michael and Raphael are the 2 who introduced themselves to me through Reiki back in like 2012, 2014, somewhere around there. I didn't even know who the archangels were. I'd heard of them, but I didn't know much about them. There's also the 7 chakras. We know that there are more than 7 chakras, but in Western society, we kind of focus on the 7 chakras. There's 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 music notes in the Western society. We keep 7 music notes. When we look at religious text, whether it's the Bible, I believe the Kabbalah, even other religions, their 7 is kind of used quite often as a meaningful number. We also have the 7 deadly sins, of course, from the Bible. We have the 7 wonders of the ancient world, which, as I had said, one of the words, I brought this up in another reading where one of the words I didn't use in one of my creations was ancient. So that's just coming right back. 7 days of the week, man-made calendar, but still 7 days a week. And the Bible, you know, creation was supposedly 6 days. Of course, we don't know how long a day was because that's a man-made concept at this point. And then on the 7th day was rest. So 7 can also be like completion, perfection. And it also can be spiritual awakening. Now, when I wrote that down, I noted at the bottom of my note that time was 11:11. So that's where I get the connection with the 7. And just if you listen to that song, it's so beautiful. And prophetic is the word coming into my mind. But I just remember from the first note that you hear on that song, and then he comes in, all 7 and we'll watch them fall. They stand in the way of love and we will smoke them all with our intellect and our savoir-faire. No one in the whole universe could ever compare. I am yours now and you are mine, and together we'll love through all space and time, so don't cry. One day all 7 will die. And don't judge me on that singing, because one, there are people sleeping. Well, my husband and the dogs are sleeping in the other room. And I'm trying to sing soft. I'm not very good at singing softly. And I'm also crashing. So sleep definitely needs to come soon. And it will. I am definitely ready for sleep. But this just felt important. So if it feels important, we're going to do it. All right. So, the tale of the two wolves. So the tale of the two wolves is often credited to the Cherokee indigenous tribes. And so the story, as I have pulled it up, is from the nanticokeindians.org website. So let me go down to that story, because this is important as far as describing those two sides that I was talking about. And it just kept coming to me, seeing the two wolves. I think I've even referenced it in a reading before. I can't remember if it was a personal reading for someone or if it was a general reading on here. But talking about having that choice between how you respond to things. So before I get into my notes that came through, we are going to look at the story. One evening, an elderly Cherokee brave told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves inside of us all. One is evil. It is angry, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson thought about this for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one that you feed." This is important and relates to the song, because when we look at how people can respond to things that are going on, to struggles, to difficulties, to perceived hurts, or maybe even real hurts, to the things that, and as I'm saying this, all of a sudden I'm seeing this bracelet that I got from a powwow this summer. And so I'm feeling called to put it on my receiving hand as I am saying this. So that's what we're going to do. I got this from a very awesome gentleman who his work in painting feathers, creating bracelets, all kinds of things is amazing. All right, so we think about that story. And so I wrote down some thoughts. So we talked about before the watchers. With the watchers, often we're talking about jealousy, fear, and judgment. So with the different sides of the same wolf and the triggered responses. So when we're triggered, we have choices. And triggers can be grief, they can be sadness, anger, hurt, disappointment, guilt. All kinds of things can trigger anger and can trigger emotional responses. So you have the one wolf, the first wolf that was described, very much so coming from a place of ego and superiority. So when we look at that, and I wrote these down before I went back and read that Tale of Two Wolves, because I wanted to put down what was coming to me intuitively, what were the messages that need to get out, knowing that the story was going to be what tied them together. So there's different sides of the same wolf and triggered responses for the wolf who is triggered in a negative way. Number one, they attack. They do not take time to sit back and watch and observe the situation. They do not take time to check into their intuition without allowing their emotions to override what they are feeling, or even to understand what they are feeling. It's preemptive, and it's based on fear more than fact. It leads to cognitive distortions, and if you're not familiar with those, these are ways that our thoughts can be distorted by anxiety, fear, past experiences, where we will recognize that something may feel the same or something feels wrong or like it hurts. And so we respond immediately to the situation without all the facts. So types of cognitive distortions can be seeing thoughts as facts or feelings as facts. So I feel like you're lying to me, so that must be true. No, that's not always true. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Or it could be catastrophizing things. You disagreed with me, and so I don't like that, so you attacked me. No, I disagreed with you. If I'm not yelling, screaming, saying rude things, whatever, I didn't attack you. But your response feels a lot like an attack. So this is where it's not good. And there's also miscommunications that come with it as well, because people who are in this type of their inner wolf, they are coming at it from a very reactive mode. They're not necessarily thinking through different actions and responses. And so they feel it, they respond. They feel it, they respond. There's not a lot of introspection. People with this wolf, as the dominant wolf for themselves, anticipate that others hold intentions to hurt them. They often suspect it. They're just waiting for that person to hurt them because maybe they believe that others in the past have hurt them. And that may be true. But just because somebody hurt you does not mean everybody else will. You got to heal that trauma. You got to heal it. And so because they anticipate that others intend to hurt them, they may feel that the only way to ensure that others cannot hold power over them is to react, to retaliate, to prevent the other person from doing something, even if that other person wasn't going to do anything. Because they believe that others are like them, they respond to perceived threats with more force, verbally, physically, mentally, and energetically than is necessary. And when you think about this, while they're perceiving this as a power move, it's actually pointing out, very much so, a insecurity, a vulnerability. Because the secure person would be able to communicate with someone and to say, this is how I felt about this happening. But instead, they react like a snake that's been poked or startled. Some people will believe them, I mentioned that, and others will see through and feel the off energy of their response. Now, even if people see through it and they feel the off energy, it doesn't mean that they're going to ask the questions or look to see what the truth or alternative may be. When people are committed to believing that something is happening, whether it is or not, they often will look for evidence and are very biased in how they interpret that evidence. Now, with the second wolf, we find strength with compassion. So being compassionate is a strength. Being sensitive is a strength, because it means that you look beyond yourself and that you're able to assess the situation outside of just your mind. Empathy is not seen as a weakness for the second wolf within. Love is the key. Love is not a weakness. Love does open us up to hurt. The price of love is grief is something that I've heard and I talk to clients about when it comes to a loved one passing. Love is hard, but love is a strength. And when you can be hurt, and you don't necessarily have to interact with and stand by the people who hurt you, but you still have the capacity to love and not put a wall up, that's a huge strength. Forgiveness is power. People don't always understand forgiveness. It's not saying that what you did was right. It's not saying that I forget what you do. It's saying that, you know what? I'm not going to let you hold power over me by allowing my emotions to be tied to you and your actions. So whether I tell you this or not, I release myself from the hurt. I release myself from the disappointment. I release myself from the frustration or even anger that your actions caused. I release myself from holding on to a sense of justice that never will come. Because at this point, I don't need the apology. I don't want it. I don't even know that I'd believe it, to be honest. I do know that when I trust people, I trust them and I give them many chances. And it sucks to know that people are going to hurt you. It sucks to know their intentions and to have for so long in my life pushed it aside, gaslit myself. No, if other people like them, other people say they're good people, surely they're good people. That's not always true. On a grander scale, we can even see how people look past the bad things about people and somehow align themselves with these people and defend things that make no sense, that most people in their rational mind would say, that was extreme. So, okay, maybe things were extreme. Maybe things didn't make sense. I am sorry if you were triggered to a point that you felt threatened enough to go to such lengths to try to discredit or, I don't know, lie. Because there are lies there. Even if people have convinced themselves that they weren't lying, they were lying. I'm not dumb. You're not dumb. None of us are dumb. Well, I can't vouch for everybody. But healing requires becoming aware of dealing with your emotions, not suppressing and not reacting immediately to them. And I'm aware of my emotions. And I encourage you to be aware of your emotions too. 3303. That was the time on the camera. You have a right to feel certain ways. You do not have a right to treat people like crap just because you're feeling hurt or triggered or scared. You do not have a right to put a bug in other people's ears about someone when you don't have all the facts, just your fear. Just saying. So, for the people who are wolf number 1, you need to come to terms with your emotions. You need to do some trauma work, shadow work, trauma work, whatever you want to call it. You got to do some healing. You got to let go of some stuff that you've been holding on to that is just making your life harder than it has to be, right? It's being able to be in a state of emotional management and maturity. Because maturity is being able to maybe say, you hurt me. I'm not putting up with this. I appreciate everything that you've contributed or my time that I've spent with you. However, I am not staying. That's emotional maturity. We have to release the victim mode and the defense mechanisms or defensive mentality. So even in that song, those who were in this very defensive mode, coming in as an army, screaming, oh, you're being blasphemous, when you're preaching love and acceptance. Again, something paralleled with things that are going on right now, and people aligning with somebody who 100% does not have any emotional intelligence. He can read people, but not in the way that he can read people in order to help them. He can read people in order to help himself, in order to, unfortunately, be able to manipulate people who either are too scared to stand up, or people who truly want to believe what he says. And there are people like that in our lives. And we have to decide, do we keep them in our lives or not? That's your choice. I can't tell you what to do. So when we're in that state of the wolf who has the compassion, the joy, the peace, the love, the hope, we take accountability for, we acknowledge our role and responsibility, and we do not concede to the demands of the wounded wolf, when we refuse to do things that engage in their drama, that engage in their own cage that they create for themselves. We're not going to do it. We have to be assertive. Being assertive doesn't mean that you're aggressive. Being assertive doesn't mean that you're passive or passive aggressive. Being assertive means that you state your boundaries, which is not your rules for other people. It is your expectations of what you need or require in relationships with others in order to stay what is healthy for you. And if it's not something that can be met, or it's not something that's important to the other person, then that may not be a healthy relationship for you or connection. So we can build people up. We can provide them with our time and our energy. But if it's not the right person, if it's not the right people, we are not required to lay down and get walked over. You're not required to do that. However, as it is said, we do not have to accept every invitation to engage in unhelpful and negative or hurtful energies from others. Like the phrase, you don't have to accept every invitation that you receive to an argument. I personally do not send the energy back to the people. I do know of people who do. For me, I tend to recognize that the actions of others create their own karma. And eventually, this can lead to downfall, especially if they don't change. You have the options, you have the ability. It's a choice, and it requires self-awareness, which not a lot of people have. I say not a lot of people, but when they're in this energy, self-awareness is not abundant. So it's understanding that your defensiveness can only go so far before you harm your image, you destroy your creations, and you block your future blessings by narrowing your view and demonstrating your intolerance to those who you feel threaten your personal confidence, who trigger your vulnerability and incite feelings of jealousy rather than feelings of growth, community, and difficulties with sharing, growing, and building together. These people rather look for signs or ways to try to prove that they are better than others. There's a power that comes to them from putting other people down or making sure that they're one up over the people. Even when you don't know or feel like you're competing, because for them, that's important. And sometimes, I think I've said this, but sometimes when people know that they would do something, they prepare for someone else to do the same thing, even when that person doesn't have the intention to. Because that person, we're not the same. We may have two sides of the same wolf inside of us, but those two sides react very differently. So, there is a power that comes from connecting with and learning your innate intuition. We all have intuition. As you grow your trust of yourself and understanding versus trying to one-up others, your gifts are your gifts. And how you connect with them, that's up to you. You can learn techniques and practices from others, but the actual tools are within you. And it is your responsibility to learn to safely connect with them. Gratitude, love, empathy, compassion, and heart-centered focus are necessary. Remove your ego and engage in a safe and loving space for yourself, your client, and others around you. There is room for all of us. If someone chooses to react as and feed the angry wolf, then their power is diminished, their connection is limited, and they, ironically, are the only ones who can change this. No one can change it for you. You've put yourself in this space. Forgiveness is a healing accelerator. Forgive yourself and others. Release the pain, hurt, anger, sadness, and all the emotions holding you back. You have the choice of what you feed. So you choose to feed the wolf that continues to put you in a defensive mode, or you can choose to rise above that and feed the wolf that focuses on good, the one that is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. And you can say to yourself, I release people, places, energies, and situations that are not meant for me. I break the cycle now. I receive my spiritual test, and I have risen above it. I no longer give my energy and my time or my thoughts to those who are here to create dissension, who are here to create chaos, who are here with a focus on, let's go back to that wolf. Evil, anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. For me personally, I don't feel like I have to call people out by name. It doesn't matter to me. God, spirit, angels, guides, universe, source, whatever you want to say, that's between you and them. But for me, I can go ahead and put out there that there are different ways to handle a situation. And all of it is healing. And all of it is releasing. And so we're going to light some sage here. Which, excuse me, because my brain, as I said, is definitely a bit tired. But this just felt very necessary for some reason for right now. Maybe because I'm about to start my business and it's time to just put the word out there. Just because I don't react and respond doesn't mean I didn't see. Just because I don't call you out doesn't mean that I know what you did. Just because I'm kind, compassionate, caring, sensitive, loving, and open doesn't mean that I'm going to stand for people thinking they can take advantage of me, treating myself or my loved ones in a way that they think they can just put us down so that they feel better, so that they feel like they're above, give you some sage energy to let the negative people in your life. We're doing some Reiki symbols now. Let those negative people in your life, negative spirits, negative energies, even if it's your own energy that you are carrying around, let go of that crap. Get yourself some selenite and some sage. Get yourself some black tourmaline. I think I have some over here, or I had some. I think I took it with me to the event this weekend. So I don't have it up here on the desk. Stuff is beautiful. All right, we're gonna let that just burn for a little bit over here. Just kind of smoke. Love that. I don't like a lot of smoke. Cigarette smoke is nasty. It triggers my allergies. Sage smoke is good. So with my selenite chakra wand, I'm going to take this and we are going to energetically cut these cords, at least for myself, and you can join in if you wish, with people who no longer deserve to have space in our minds. Don't hold on to that. And we are going to forgive them. And if you don't like how I do this or the words that I say, that's okay. Maybe it's not for you. Archangel Michael, I call on you. I ask that you use your sword of protection. Sever the cords that go between myself and others who have intentionally hurt me. Those who have said things, done things in a way that was mean-spirited, who tried to take away my power or felt intimidated by me, those who were vulnerable and used their vulnerability as a way to try to gain power over others. I ask that you not harm these individuals, because unfortunately their thoughts and emotions will harm them. I actually ask also for Archangel Raphael to come in with his healing green light. And as I do, because I know that their behaviors come from a place of pain and of trauma, I ask that Archangel Raphael come in and send love and healing to these people who have harmed me, who have harmed others. Their journey to healing, their journey to forgiveness is not mine. And whether deserved or not, in this moment, with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael by my side, I forgive those who have done things with the intentions of putting me down, of harming me, of manipulating me, of taking advantage of me. And even when I knew that it was happening, I sometimes went along or played dumb just so that I wouldn't have to worry about the confrontation. And so I also ask Archangel Raphael that you help me to feel that forgiveness and love for myself, to remind myself that I was doing what I needed to do or felt I needed to do to survive in the moment. But as I have grown in my strength, I may not call them out by name or publicly call them out, but I take my power back. I don't need to call them out. I don't need to say anything. I just need to make sure that I protect my energy and that I speak and walk away sooner. I forgive myself. I forgive those who have hurt me. And I wish for you all peace, forgiveness, healing, hope, and love. Cut this quartz. Not because the other people are a part of that at all, but because you deserve it. Did not know this was going to be almost an hour, but that's where we are. Good night. It is definitely time for bed.